Hello and welcome to The Talent. I'm your host, Thomas Greenberg. Tonight we've got a special feature for you, as joining me in studio is Connor Hawley. Connor's a BC senior and a student manager on the men's basketball team. He's been a student manager since his freshman year, and I first want to ask you, Connor, how did you get into it? Why did you want to become a student manager?
I mean, I love BC from the get-go. I've watched BC basketball since about 2000, 2001, the glory days of Troy Bell, as many BC fans may know of. And when I came to BC, the summer before I came here, I emailed Dan McDermott, who currently is the director of basketball operations for the basketball team, seeing if there are any openings in the athletic department, and I just lucked out. There's a manager spot open, and I sprung for it, and I've loved it ever since.
Well, very cool story. And now that you've been here for 4 years, you have a lot of experience under your belt as student manager. You've been through a lot of, there have been some highs in your time. We got to admit. What do you think have been some of the highlights?
I think absolutely a highlight was freshman year when we beat Syracuse. #1 ranked. I know our freshman year last year of Steve Donahue being the head coach. But still, beating Syracuse was an unbelievable game. It went to overtime. Players came back, and everybody was so excited. It had been such a difficult season. And for the managers, players, and coaches alike, I can say that was a fantastic moment.
Sure. Well, you mentioned Steve Donahue. You experienced 1 year with him, and then there was the change to Jim Christian during your sophomore year. What was that transition like from a student manager perspective?
I think it was just a little bit strange at first, since I liked the old staff. Coach Donahue and his assistants treated us great, managers. And when Coach Christian came in at first, there was definitely a little bit of a different culture. But at the same time, himself and his coaches have treated us with the utmost respect. It's really not that much different in terms of what we have to do as managers. So from that perspective, there wasn't much difference. There are a few different needs the coaches have for day-to-day, whether it be film, what they need for practice. But overall, it hasn't changed that much, and it's been a great experience still with Coach Christian and his staff, and I think we have an exciting season ahead.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that, because I hope it is an exciting season. But I do have to mention the down year last year. It got national recognition because BC basketball didn't win a single ACC game. What do you think the atmosphere or the culture was from a student manager perspective?
From my perspective, so we're inside practices. We see a lot from behind the scenes, and I have to give the players and coaches the utmost respect for how they handled it. You have a lot of young guys coming in, trying to teach them a new system, a way of playing, getting used to the ACC, the toughest basketball in the country. And I thought that whether it was 0-18, 1-17, 2-16, I thought the team played their heart out for the duration of the year, and I thought the coaches really understood that this is a process, and you can't look at it just from a wins and losses perspective with all the freshmen that were playing last year. So from that point of view, I think that I got to see how professional the players and coaches were in their approach, and how really they put in all the effort in the world regardless of what the media pundits were saying.
Sure. I do have to ask, Connor, you happen to be a bit of a media personality on campus with your work through ZBC,
Yep,
on the radio, and then also on WEI.com, the Eagle Talk podcast that comes out every week. Do you,
Yep.
you kind of have to be critical at times of the program. How do you balance being a manager and being so close to the team with also talking about the team in the media?
Well, to be perfectly honest, Tom, I try to separate myself from talking too much about the basketball team, since there is that level of privilege for being a manager and getting to see an inside look on the team. So I'd say that I focus most of my attention on the other programs: football, hockey, baseball. And although I'll chime in when we talk on the Eagle Talk podcast about basketball, I do not cover BC basketball really as much in my media coverage. But I think it's really a conflict of interest from my perspective, and I think it just is not something I go into too much, because I don't want to put into jeopardy what the coaches and players are saying behind the scenes and what I'm saying in the media. So,
Connor, that's very fair, completely understood on that. And the final question from me tonight is, what does the future hold for BC student manager Connor Hawley?
What does the future hold? Excellent question. So currently I'm student teaching at BC High. My major is mathematics, minoring in secondary education. So in all likelihood, you'll see me in some classroom in the Boston area come next year teaching young children about the world of geometry and calculus. But I'm also considering working in sports media. I think I've enjoyed my time as a manager, but I like radio and television as well as writing about sports. I think if there is an outlet outside of teaching and coaching, I think that's what I'd go into. So we'll see. Time will tell.
All right. Well, Connor will be brightening the young minds of students across Boston and Massachusetts, his home
Hopefully.
his home place. But from manager perspective, he doesn't see himself being a graduate assistant when he graduates. But that's okay, because you've had a great 4 years as manager,
It's
right?
been fun. It's been great. You know, the wins and losses haven't been fantastic at all the times, but it's been unbelievable to see the behind-the-scenes work that goes in a Division I basketball program. So I've been very fortunate in my 4 years to experience that.
All right. Well, Connor, all of that was great. Thank you so much for joining us. Signing off for BCTV, I'm Thomas Greenberg.